guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Mogul Marathon Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Yannick Cudjoe-Virgil, and I'm very, very excited for our guest today. Our guest today is Picasso Nelson. Now, Picasso is a former NFL athlete, and he's actually from a small town in Mississippi that has no red light. He is very, very smart and graduated ranked number one in his class in finance from the University of Southern Mississippi with 2 master's degrees in business and teaching at the age of 23. And now he is full-time in real estate. Picasso, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
So give the listeners a little bit about your backstory and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so, like you mentioned, from a very small town in Mississippi. But nonetheless, even as a child, I knew that I wanted to be more than what I was surrounded by. So was always a dreamer. However, went to high school, college there. But in college, I quickly realized that football would not last forever. And my senior year, I got injured and I ended up missing my senior year. And that was like a big wake-up call for me. First time ever not playing, the sport of football, missing an entire season. So at that point, I thought about, okay, what can I do that will set me up to be able to take care of my family and my mom for the rest of my life. And, after searching, I found that real estate was something that I was passionate about. So I began to, pursue that. So in the midst of pursuing that, I had a small amount of capital. And I knew that I needed more capital. So in college, I started a trucking company, had one 18-wheeler, ended up having 5 18-wheelers traveling across America. And upon finishing my last year of, college football and, training for the NFL draft, et cetera, before entering into my rookie year in the NFL, sold all the trucks and had a small amount of capital to then transition into real estate. And so at that point, began to really try to leverage the NFL to learn more about real estate. And that's one thing that the Jaguars, taught me is, the player development with the Jaguars taught me my rookie year was that you have a golden ticket while you're playing football to meet whoever you want to meet and to learn about the industry that you want to be in. And, a lot of players do not utilize their golden ticket. They go to the league and, only hang out with football players, and that's why 80% of NFL players are broke after being out of the league for 5 years. So, but good thing in college, one of my mentors, Mr. V, he told me, he said, Picasso, I know you play football, but don't just hang out with football players. Hang out with, all types of people from all walks of life, and you will find out that even those who don't play football, you will have more in common with them. And I found that to be true. So, begin to learn more about real estate, begin to invest in Mississippi, and continue to invest. And last year, we finished the redevelopment of a 16-unit complex, and I did everything from finding the deal, the underwriting, to the project management, et cetera, for the entire deal. And I was, talking with somebody that I really look up to, and they were saying that if I can do a 16-unit complex, the same amount of legwork can get a 200, 300, 400 unit complex done. So I wanted to, learn more. And that's, what has inspired my move since then. So.
Wow, what a great backstory there. So I want to go back to your entrepreneurial journey because it seems like you really had a knack for entrepreneurship, right? You said before college you were investing in trucking. What stirred that bug? And I think your father was a former NFL player as well, too, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what stirred that bug in entrepreneurship at an early age? Did he have anything to do with it too, given the fact that he used to be an NFL athlete and probably passed on some gems to you as a young kid? Like, how was that learning process?
Absolutely. So I think, my dad played a big role in, my entrepreneurial spirit. I think one, for him as a college football player, he was the number 1 ranked safety in the nation his senior year. And, really good. But the 9th game of the season, he had an injury that really altered his NFL career. So I knew as a child that no matter how good I was in football, it only takes one injury for that to be, no longer. So my education and figuring out how to invest was really important. And I think what really, really sparked my entrepreneurial spirit was that in high school, my mom, she was working, and as a single mother, she lost her job for about 6 months. And, tough time for her. No one could help her. And, I gave her my life savings as a 17-year-old. And she was crying. She thought I was selling drugs because of the amount of money I gave her. But obviously, I wasn't selling drugs. It was just, my life savings. And at that point, I knew, like, okay, the the feeling that gave me to be able to step in and help my mom really sparked it in me to say, like, okay, no matter what situation I'm in, I need to have my money invested. I need to have the amount of money to not only take care of myself, but to take care of my mom. From there, I just always thought bigger than the game of football. So,
Wow. I know your mom is really proud of you to make that jump. To see any kid give up their life savings and give it to their mom, you know, it tells a lot about, your character and your dedication and how you're willing to step in for your family. So let's talk about the transition into real estate investing. How were you able to successfully make that transition from the NFL to real estate?
I think it's for me, I would definitely say it was just learning, like learning and relationships. As we know, business is 100% about relationships. So, while I was playing football, I knew that I needed to learn more. It's just like as a kid, if you're playing any sport, if you want to go to the highest level, you need to learn. You need to improve the fundamentals. So, as a rookie, I reached out to the NFLPA. I wanted to learn more about real estate, so I ended up getting my real estate license. And just talking to some regional real estate developers, or very very successful real estate gentlemen in Mississippi, I was told that getting my real estate license would be a great way for me to learn about real estate at the highest level. So I did that, and by doing that, I had the opportunity to see different deals that I had never seen before. And from there, just continuing to be pure hearted, continuing to make and build relationships, and continuing to be coachable, I think really allowed me to learn more. And the more that you learn, the more options are open to you. So the more I learned, I figured out, okay, this is the facet of real estate that I would love to be in. This is what I will pursue. These are the books I need to read. These are the courses I need to take. These are the skills I need to build. And, I just followed the playbook. So,
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I always like to say that education is the greatest equalizer. If you're able to put in the time and the energy and the effort to get educated, no matter what space that you're trying to get into, there are a lot of resources out there on YouTube and Google that will tell you a lot about what you're trying to learn. And you've been able to successfully take that hustle and that energy from the NFL to real estate by applying things that are no different from studying your playbook. Because you know
absolutely.
that in order to be successful on the field, you have to know your playbook. It's no different
Absolutely.
from real estate, right?
Yes. Yes.
So,
You're definitely right.
yeah. So, talk about like why commercial real estate specifically, because when people, most of the time, when they transition from the NFL to real estate or just people in general, right? The first thing that they think about is flipping houses. Did you start from flipping houses and then you jumped into commercial real estate? Maybe you found something along the way that wanted you to just go straight into commercial real estate. Talk a little bit about that journey before we dive into the 16 unit deal.
Absolutely. So for me, I started off as far as like my personal investments was mostly in single family. So, was doing single family deals. For me, I think as an entrepreneur, you should be long term greedy. So I wasn't really interested in, flipping houses. I wanted to buy and hold and build up my cash flow. And as we both know, your cash flow funds future deals. And I think if you have that mindset, okay, I want to build my cash flow, you should move in that manner. And obviously, we know passive income is, very important. And business at the highest level is based on passive income. So, but did a lot of single family houses, did some flips here and there just to pay off some single family houses, and bought a fourplex. It was pretty easy, transition from single family, and from there moved up to the 16plex. And obviously that's just a start. But yeah, that was essentially my path thus far. So
I love how you said you should be long-term greedy. That is absolutely great, because real estate is one when you hold for the long term. I think people get
absolutely,
into this business from looking at things like HGTV and Flip This House, and they say, oh, this is real estate, I should be flipping houses. But the real wealth is created when you buy and hold long term. And the fact that you've been able to figure that out early in your career will pay off generously in the long term, because that is really how you build wealth in real estate. I've talked to a lot of people who are real estate moguls, people who have multi-million dollars portfolio, and they own some of the same properties that they've had for the past 10 to 20 years. Or if they don't, they trade it out of those smaller properties and trade it into larger 50, 75, 100 unit buildings. And
yes,
so it's all about generational wealth. And so you were able to pivot into that space early on. So that's great that you were able to do that. So let's talk
absolutely. And
about yeah, go ahead.
and I didn't answer the tail end of your question when you said why commercial real estate. But just to piggyback off what you just said, generational wealth is the key. And I think if we are serious about creating generational wealth, then you should have a sense of delayed gratification. And I think in life it's important to study the greats. And if you want to be a great basketball player, you study great basketball players. If you want to be a great chef, you study great chefs. The same goes in real estate. And just across those who are financially successful, delayed gratification is something that is very important. And also, increasing your earnings and flatlining your expenses is really important as well. So, but you ask why real estate, and I say that for me, and for you as well. Like when you were a kid playing football, you wanted to go to the NFL. Like that was the goal, and that shows that you are very competitive, that you are a striver, that you are a dreamer, and that you believe in yourself. And so, the same for me in real estate. Like, as a kid, I wanted to go to the NFL in sports. But also now that I'm starting in real estate, and I have started in real estate, I want to do real estate at the highest level because I believe in myself and I'm a dreamer. So that's why commercial real estate. And when you look at, the owners of the teams, I think the NFL is an amazing sport. The players have the wonderful opportunity to make capital and to, change their family lives. But the owners of the teams, of the NFL teams across the board, they're generally heavily engaged in commercial real estate, heavily engaged in real estate. And they're able to own those teams for generations. They don't have to run into people full speed to remain the owner. And I think if you are really focused on ownership and if you're focused on generational wealth, and if you believe in yourself, I think it's not far-fetched to want to do whatever you do at the highest level. So
Yeah, I totally agree, man. To touch on what you said first, success leaves clues all the
mhm,
time. And
yes.
trying to reinvent the wheel is something that you definitely don't want to do in the commercial real estate space.
Mhm.
I think the best way, like you said, is just to model the ones who are the greats, model the ones who are doing things successfully. And
Yes.
people, eh, you know, from a success perspective, they all do the same, follow the same playbook, right?
Mhm.
Everyone probably just has their different spins on things that make
Yes.
it unique to them.
Mhm.
So the goal is to model the greats, but put maybe a little spin on it, right? Because you might have a different investment strategy, or you might have a different outlook on how things should be done, and that's what makes it yours. So I
Yes.
totally agree 100% follow the greats. And I agree 100%. Owners definitely own commercial real estate. I was looking at Jerry Jones's
Mhm.
portfolio on this platform. I forget exactly what the platform's name is, but there's a platform that allows you to see a lot of different commercial
Mhm.
properties. It's not CoStar. It's another a platform. But to your point, owners own
Mhm.
real estate. I talked to another CPA that handles
Yes.
the Minnesota Vikings, finances. They own a ton of real estate. So you want to have
Yes.
generational wealth. You want to be great. Just follow their footsteps. I think that's the main point of this topic. So let's touch into your 16 unit deal. How did you find it? How did you put the deal together? How did you finance it? Talk a little bit about that deal and the strategy for execution.
Yeah. So with the 16 unit, I found it simply through relationships. Had built a relationship with the broker, and was in the market to buy more multifamily, and so received the call that the deal had just hit the market, and we moved forward with buying it, and from there did the underwriting. It made sense. It was in an area that I believed in and that I knew would rent well. So from there, financing wise, um, from relationships as well, through the single family acquisitions and the flips and the fourplex, I built a relationship with the banker, a local banker, and from there financed the deal. And it was essentially a value add deal. So fully, went in, renovated every unit, redid the parking lot, painted the exterior, etc., and rented out the units. And it was a very educational experience. It was my first time seeing a deal like that through from start to finish on all facets, and you know, it really gave me the confidence to not only want to do more or do bigger business, but to believe that I could actually do it. And I think in life it's important to have those confidence boosters when you step up to the plate and um, you know, you um, you execute at a level that is reasonable for you. So
That's great. And it's always good to get that experience under your belt and have the confidence to do larger transactions. What would you say is the biggest thing that you've learned so far with dealing with a 16 unit deal?
I think the biggest thing is just to truly believe in yourself. Like, um, in from from Mississippi and from where I'm from, many people think that it's a big feat just to buy one single family house and own that. But to be a person that looks like us and that's young and to have a deal like a 16 unit complex, a lot of people think that is the epitome of business. And to just simply believe in yourself and to take what you learn, to apply what you learn, and to, like you say, don't reinvent the wheel, just improve it. And in that sense, very small scale, but I, apply what I've learned and I try to um, take the wheel and create my own spin to it. And it worked out really well. So, I would just say what I learned most is just simply believe in yourself and obviously educate yourself and execute. So,
Yeah, when you do your first deal, it's one of those things where you get that monkey off your back, right?
absolutely.
You get that lift off your back. And I remember doing my first deal and just feeling like that confidence level go up
Mhm.
because I think people get afraid of jumping into the multifamily space,
Yeah.
right? For me, I it was one of those things where I wanted to get into a deal, and once the deal got on the contract, it was like, oh, this is real, right? You have to go out there, you have to raise the money, you have to do the underwriting, you have to do the due diligence, all this stuff to actually close the deal.
Mhm.
But building that confidence and getting your first deal done, that is one of the best feelings that you can have that would propel you forward in your real estate space. And there's something called the law of the first deal that is coined by this guy Michael Blanc that says, once you do your first deal, your second deal is right around the corner,
Yeah.
just because of people knowing exactly who you are, because you now you're a closer, right? You first were a dreamer, but now you're a closer, and you can use that conversation and talk to different brokers, and now they're going to send you more and more opportunities because they know you can close.
Absolutely.
So that was great for your confidence with getting your first deal done.
Mhm.
From so stepping back a little bit from your journey from the NFL to real estate to doing your 16 unit deal, how do you think there are traits from a professional athlete that is easily translatable into the world of entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, think about this, as a professional athlete, say as a football player, you know, say, we all grow up playing football. 1% of high schoolers go to play D1 football. So if you're a D1 football player, you made it to a great level. 1% of, D1 football players go to the NFL. So at their rate, like just to simply make it to the NFL, you are 0.00001% of all football players in the world. So in order to make it to that level, you not only have to be talented, but you have to be extremely dedicated. So if you can make it to that level in the sport, you can obviously make it to that level in the business if you transfer the skills that allow you to get there. And I think, the skills that are really transferable are, one, I think, as a player who's very driven, you want to be the first person in the building and the last person to leave. And I think with that mindset in business, if you apply it, you're putting the time in. I think it's important to get your extra reps, to watch film, to really, study the game. And if you transfer that to watching people that you aspire to be like, watching industry leaders, learning, taking the wheel and improving it, it's the same thing that you do in football. And three, mentorship. If you want to be really good in sports, you find the leader on the team. You find the all pro player that you aspire to be like, and you learn from them. You ask them, okay, how much sleep do you get? What things do you look for in film? Like you learn those things and you ask. So same thing in business. Find people that you aspire to be like, ask questions, and apply it. And outside of on top of that, I would say it's all about your team. In football, no matter how good you are, you can't play your best without having a good team of players around you, of brothers around you. So I think in business, it's important to find people who have the same mission, vision, and values as you. And even though you all may be in different, walks of life, different areas of real estate, you all can work together collectively to ensure that you all are moving in the direction that you aspire to be. And that's what any team does. The great teams in football aren't always the most talented teams, but they're the teams who really care about each other, who really look out for each other, who really want the best for each other. And you play well together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think all athletes have transferable skills in the world of entrepreneurship. When I
Absolutely.
think of the transferable skills, I think of things like you said, building a team. That
Mhm.
is very crucial in the world of commercial real estate. You have to build a team. You have to know who are the key players, and you have to know who is able to sufficiently perform in that role that you assign them to.
Mhm.
Another thing is adversity and the ability to pivot during the midst of challenges, right?
Absolutely.
Because there are a lot of times that you and I were in the fourth quarter and the game was on the line and things happened on defense where we had to adjust accordingly,
Mhm.
right? The offense throws an interception, you had to jump on the field and make a stop.
Mhm.
Little things like that, I think, are so translatable in the world of entrepreneurship
Mhm.
from a professional athlete's perspective that I think once athletes realize that and hone into those skills,
Mhm.
the sky's the limit.
Absolutely, I agree. And adversity for sure. And I think like as an athlete, we understand how to be consistent throughout adversity. So, it's the fourth quarter. You still need to be consistent with your technique, still need to be consistent with your pre-snap reads, still need to be consistent with executing your job. And, as football players, we go through fall camp or training camp. And everyone is excited the first week. But what about the second week, the third week, when you're sore, when you're tired, when you or not feeling like practicing. Like you still need to execute. You still need to, know your alignment, your assignment, read your keys. So as an entrepreneur, if you transfer that, and if you're the first person, in the building, if you wake up before the sun, if you study, if you focus on your technique, if you are consistent every day and you show up and you understand, like, look, I may not be the best today. I may make mistakes today, but I won't make the same mistake tomorrow. And the next day, if you wake up with that same mindset, and if you're focused on continuous improvement, I think there's no limit to where you can take it.
Totally agree. Totally agree, man. I think that goes for anyone that's trying to get into the world or anyone who is in the world of entrepreneurship. Just applying that same mental toughness and thought patterns that you just mentioned. That is really how you be successful in today's entrepreneurial environment.
Absolutely.
So, tell me a little bit about your secret sauce. What do you think is your secret sauce today that attributes to your ability to be successful in real estate?
Yeah, so I would definitely say being consistent and being a dreamer. So one, I dream and I believe that I can achieve my dream. So you have a dream, and from there you turn it into a goal. And at that point, you line up different things that you need to do in order to get to that goal. So I think one is dreaming and just simply believing in myself. And two is consistency. I consistently wake up before the sun. I consistently am willing to learn and to improve each and every day. I consistently want to get better by 1%. And I think, collectively, just being a dreamer, setting realistic goals, and being consistent is definitely a secret sauce.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is something that is very, very important to be successful in today's world. Consistency is one of the main ingredients to success.
Mhm.
So, in the world of entrepreneurship, man, that is something that I think once people are able to tap into that
Mhm.
side of success, the sky's the limit, like you said. So, you've been in this real estate marathon. If you were to start this real estate marathon all over again, you know, what do you think you would do differently that would contribute to your success today?
Um, you know, I think no matter how well you do, there's always room for improvement. And I know one thing that I have recently done is move out of my hometown and move to a primary market. And just, I've been here for 5 months thus far. And I've learned so much. My mind has been open to new levels and to new things and new facets of real estate. And I think, looking back, even though, I've tried my best to maximize my time, I would definitely say, I would move sooner and I would enter a primary market sooner. And I think, that is a cheat code to success is to leave in your hometown, being in a position where you're not comfortable, and to surround yourself with individuals that you aspire to be like. And I think that's definitely an adjustment that I would make.
Really cool, man. Completely agree. So, if our listeners want to follow you, want to invest with you and your company, what's the best way for our listeners to follow up and get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So, they definitely can reach out to me via email. And my email is pnj@picassoestates.org. And, they also can follow me on Instagram as well. And my Instagram is Casso, CASSOJR_. So,
Perfect. Perfect. Well, Picasso, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. We talked about the transition from the NFL to real estate, your entrepreneurial journey prior to college, your transition into commercial real estate, doing your first deal as a 16-unit deal, and just translating a lot of those traits from the athletic space into the world of entrepreneurship. So, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you to our listeners again for joining in to another episode of the Mogul Marathon Real Estate Podcast. Let's take action today and be great. And remember, real estate is a marathon, not a sprint. Run your own race. Thanks again, Picasso.
Thank you.